One.
Howdy, people. We have a lot of them joining. Cameras, I don't see any faces as of yet.
What's up, Vibe?
Awesome. That's 83 at right now. What up? Awesome. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Let's have all our people here, and probably once then we'll kickstart. Yep. Edward, thank you. I was about to say that. So Vibe is not hosting with us, but we'll still maintain the same decorum. Drop in the comment where you're from and what the temperature is there right now. Dublin, there's Lucas from Toronto. Mumbai. '73. That's too hot. Arizona is 1:30 today. Yes, so the session is being recorded. You'll have the recording link on YouTube and on the Slack community. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. It's 7:33 p.m. in India right now. So let's wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll kickstart.
Why is Justin Leaks nervous? It's just early, tired.
We got 2 more minutes. In the interim, one other question that Swapnil asks every time, drop on the chat if you're an agency or a freelancer or a SaaS startup. Go for it. Agency. And John, how are you doing, mate? Long time.
Oh, what's up, Etienne? I think I pronounced that wrong. What's up?
One more minute and we'll kickstart. 140 people right now. Bob, you have my calendar, you can book a meeting. Teeny, that's the spirit, brother. Perfect. So let's kickstart. Thank you all for taking the time and welcome to one more session of Smartlead Office Hours. And today, the man we've got here, most of you all might know him. It's Justin Chi. He's the co-founder of Cold Email Hackers. So from my end, a little introduction for Justin. Justin has booked close to 3,000 meetings in 18 months. Yes, you heard it right. and he's done it for a lot of them, right? So, Justin, I pass
Yeah.
the mic over to you. Please go for it. A quick introduction for everybody
Yeah.
here.
I'll give some background. So just background coding my hackers, and we'll kind of dive into some of the things I do to get these results, like giving a lot of secret sauce away today. But the biggest thing for us and, just kind of the background of our company is I was an SDR at several startups before this, and I did work at ZoomInfo for a number of, well, it's only a couple of years there, but basically every startup I was at, every company I worked at as an SDR, I was the number one SDR. Figured out how to use cold email while I was at ZoomInfo, and just kind of took that experience to start cold email hackers, right? Like at ZoomInfo, getting about 100, 120 meetings a month. And a lot of the people that I was reaching out to, they're like sales and marketing leaders. They were asking me to kind of do their campaigns for them. So it started as a side hustle. Like this company started as a side hustle. So it just kind of grew from there. I can go on and on about this, but it just kind of turned into was like, okay, it doesn't really make sense for me to stay at the job, and
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense for me to get another job. And we just started this as sort of a freelancing thing. We decided like, hey, look, like there's a lot of space for us to grow this into. People are struggling with getting meetings through cold email, and it's something I'm particularly good at. So I was just like, you know what, let's just turn this into business, see where it goes, and we'll go from there. But it's definitely been a rocky ride. Like we've been full time on this for about almost 2 years now at this point, and we're about 16 clients or so right now. So 16 clients we work with, and we do a pretty good job with them. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for this, Justin. And you pressed the buttons the right time, and you're
yeah,
here wherever you are. Awesome.
yeah,
So the primary topic of today, the first thing, segmentation is more important than ever, right? So Justin, tell us, why is that? Can you discuss the
yeah,
crucial role of segmentation in coding? And why is that? What is different? Why
yeah.
is segmentation so important?
I mean, even when I was at ZoomInfo, right? It's like anybody who's been sending cold email here longer than maybe 2, 3 years, like even 3 years ago was way easier. Like you could just load up Outreach or SalesLoft, have one domain, blast a ton of emails, and you would get meetings, right? Like it was just way easier back then. So even back then, you kind of had to segment a bit, right? Like when I was at ZoomInfo, we would still go after we had a base CRM to go after, right? So I would go after
Mhm.
people who like engaged with us in the past before, people of different segmentation, lookalike customers, that kind of stuff. So really segmentation, and you don't have to like spend a lot of money or but have a bunch of tools to do this, but it's really just down to like being able to use basically once you have, oh, sorry, let me just kind of back this up. Once you have the list and the target persona you're going after, the copy kind of writes itself, if you will, right? Because like then you could kind of understand what sort of problems they're facing. You have people that you work with that are very similar to them, and it's very easy for you to just kind of back that up and write the copy based off that. And I can give you some examples in a second, but just makes it easy to write lists or write copy, if you will. So
Fair enough. Got it. And one other thing, Justin, just a common question, right? So me personally, I
yeah,
was an SDR too, and you
yeah.
segment based on industry, you segment based on geography, or based on
Yeah.
the persona, based on the size of the company. So what
Mhm.
do you take? Sort of, do you think all of this is crucial? And did I miss out on something, or how do you do it?
Industry is crucial. Like we're gonna give some more examples later. I know we talked about this before, but I have an
Mhm.
example here. I think it's a great example. Is I have a client and they sell sort of like basically workflow automation software, but one of their segments is nonprofits, and they're basically saying like it's like sales automation. Basically, they're saying like they can help you get more funding for their nonprofit. But when we were using the terms like, hey, we can get you funding, that wasn't really resonating. But when we use the term grants or finding grantors to give you money,
Mhm.
that did a lot
Mhm.
better than just saying, hey, we can get you funding. So little things like that, like slight language changes based on the industry and personas you're going after. So
Fair enough. Makes sense.
yeah. Mhm.
So, would be any examples that you might want to share? Any examples of the list of segments that you make?
Are we talking about how we create them or just like any
Yeah, absolutely.
examples?
So one other thing that I remember is we manually do it, or the tool we look for, be it ZoomInfo, Lucia, or Flintel, you
Yeah.
segment it from there. But are
Yeah.
there any AI tools that people can make use of? Can ChatGPT do this for you? How do you go about it?
Yeah, yeah, I'll share my screen really quickly. So
Mhm.
this is pretty
Go for it.
straightforward. So I'll give you an example. This is what I was doing pretty recently as well. And we have Clay, we have all these tools, but this is a really simple way, and I have my team do it like
Mhm.
this. So share my screen here.
Yes, please.
So let's say you're in Apollo, right? And this is an example of how like get more segmentation. Because segmentation, if you just put like, I'll give you an example here. This client, we were going after like fintech companies.
Mhm.
So if I just go and put like fintech inside the keyword section,
Okay.
like you might get a decent amount of results. Like this is Apollo, by the way, but we go by job, we go by locations, we go by job titles. Let's just say I owner or founder as an example, right? Like fintech, we might get 4.3K. And if we filter by locations, US, like that's not that many people.
Right.
So this is what I've taught my team, and this is kind of like some sauce that we've derived, right? So I'll just go into ChatGPT and I'll type in, make sure it's on 4.0.
Mhm.
Just make sure it understands what Apollo is. Right. So just kind of basically just getting an understanding of Apollo. And then I'll say something like, I'm building a prospect list for cold emailing new customers or potential customers. Can you give me 15 to 25 keywords to use in Apollo that can help me identify fintech companies?
Oh, that's clever.
Please give this in a comma separated output. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And it did not give me a comma separated output, but let's just ask for that. Cool. So these are all fintechs. I just go and plug this in. You'll see how many more results we get, but it
Got it.
is pretty significant. So let me pull that in. Right. So it's like went from 4.3 to 120K. So it's like I post a lot of results on my LinkedIn. A lot of it is
Mhm.
due to just having bigger lists. Like we don't, just being frank, like we don't spend a ton of time doing like crazy trigger based campaigns. I know there's some guys that you have on this podcast or on this webinar that do those type of things. For us, it's really just like smart segmentation and building bigger lists. That's really what it is for us. So
Got it. So this is awesome. And we saw the number get doubled. No, it's not doubled. It's from 4.2K to close to
yeah, I
120K.
didn't expect it to be 120K. Like I already ran the list. It's been like 2 weeks since we uploaded, but it is pretty massive. So I was like, yeah, pretty
Absolutely.
significant.
And
So
on top of this, Justin, are there
yeah.
any specific segmentation tactics that you prefer?
Yeah, I would say biggest one is so where we got fintech from was in this particular client's case, and I don't want to like name drop too hard, but I probably should X that out. Basically it's just like looking at existing case studies. So
Mhm.
ideally, if you're like an agency or you work at a company and you're using Smartlead or whatever sort of tool you're using, ideally you have existing customers, right? Like people you've worked with in the past, where it's like you've gotten the results that you're looking for, or
Absolutely.
great results. So we're just looking for
Mhm.
companies similar. So it's like this company in particular I work with, they have great fintech case studies. So we just plug that in, use fintech, and go from there. If it had maybe, I don't know, we could always take the same concept, right? Like I'm building a prospect list. Maybe we can go after like marketing tech. Maybe we have some great case studies there or something like that, right? And this is how I do the broad segmentation. So this definitely helps a
Got
lot. Yeah, you'll see like
it.
not all of these are good fit, like especially marketing tech is like PPC. That's not really like a SaaS. Like that's just like that could be an agency or whatever, but you get the point here. It's like we get the keywords, we always filter them out later, but it's much better than just plugging it in, if you will. So
All right, fair enough. Fair enough, Justin. So
yep.
is this all? Would you want to add something more to the segmentation process? You've given, I understand you've given us everything, like how you the prompts you write on GPT, the way you do it. But is there something else you want to add to this?
I would say if you can take the time and there's some secret sauce, like I kind of have to gatekeep a little bit because it's just like doing very, very well for us. But
Fair enough.
I'm showing 95% of sauce, but that's that 5%. So what we do is like we pull these lists and then we go into Clay and then we can do further personalizations, right? Because like fintech, if I send an email and I say fintech, it's still pretty broad. But if I go ahead and like use GPT within Clay or like Airtable, whatever, I can get it to say like, hey, look, like I saw you're in the financial technology industry. I saw you in the digital bank industry. Saw you in the payment gateway industry, whatever. Like we can do further segmentation at scale if we use a tool like Clay or whatever. But there's some prompts there like we spend a lot of time building. So it's just like that is some secret sauce. But I'm giving some examples of what the output should look like. Like we could pull this huge list. We can either send an email and say like, the custom variables. We can say like, oh yeah, we work with fintech companies, whatever, and then drop a case study. But if you want to take some time and make it a bit more personalized, we have seen success with that. It's like, hey, look, like I see you're in the cryptocurrency industry, or I see you're in the
Mhm.
digital wallet industry, I see you're in the insurtech industry. That has done pretty well for us. If you have something like Clay to take this list, upload it there, and segment it further. So
Fair
yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Thank you so much for that,
Mhm.
Justin.
Yeah.
So this brings me to my next question, which is our next segment. But before I
Yeah.
go there, people, those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
this is Smartlead's birthday month. So if you have not checked out what we've done on the website, there are some exciting offers. So feel free to check our website. And thank you, Justin. So this brings me to my next segment, right?
Sure.
So you mentioned this is how you structure your email copy. Based on the segment, you write a copy saying, "Yay,
Yeah.
I found you. I know you're using this, or you're in this industry, etc."
Sure.
So how do you think, or what is your email framework? So you showed
Yeah.
us how you do the first part, which
Mhm.
is segmenting the list. But after
Yeah.
that, how do you structure your email copies? How are they built? Are there any
Yeah.
frameworks that you can share with us?
Let me pull this up. And I'm gonna edit out the client name in this case for now. So just give me one second
I,
here.
you need to.
Yeah, I don't want people just coming in. All right. Cool. Let me just share my screen here. So, all right, this is one campaign we're running, right? I'm gonna share my screen here.
Mhm.
And I just changed the name there real quick. So copy framework's pretty straightforward. I always do, it's not always, it's not a hard and fast rule. Like you can switch things up, right? Like there's some campaigns where it's like I'm writing 6 or 7 sentences. I have one campaign, or I had one campaign where we wrote like paragraphs, like basically a freaking essay. And that was targeted at like church people, like small churches, whatever. It was a fintech solution for that. And we had a lot of success with that. Like the short emails did not do as well. Like I didn't come up with the idea. My client came up with the idea. He was like, look, like I know for a fact that they're going to read these longer essay type emails. So that's going to work. But in general, this is our framework. So let me just walk you through this. So this is an example from one of our clients. And we're just segmenting like this. So first sentence is kind of like a hook. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Like I can make this better for sure. But it's just like,
Mhm.
hey, I came across XYZ company when I was looking for blah, blah, blah. Okay. Second sentence is sort of like laying the groundwork, if you will. So this one doesn't have my usual case study like set up here, but it's just like, ask a question about a problem they're probably trying to solve. And then I pitch in the third sentence. And then we did a bunch of A/B testing in this case. And we found that
Mhm.
actually the added case study sentence here decreased the conversion rates. So it's like we took out the case study and this was the winning variant, but it's always
Right.
worth testing a case study in this case. So and then of
Fair
course, like
enough.
call to action, very simple, like open to learn
Yeah.
more. That's our
See,
most used
yeah,
call to
fair enough.
actions. Yeah.
Fair enough. So one other question here, Justin. So since we spoke about this right before the office hours, I had a call with the client, and that was an interesting question. So
Yeah.
does the size of your email copy actually have an impact on deliverability? So based on your tests, have you seen that?
I find if it sounds too spammy, and VibeHav definitely knows more about this than I do, but from my personal experience, it's like
Mhm.
if it sounds too spammy, in which most long copy tends to sound spammy, right? It's just like it's just too long, right? Like there's too many details you don't need. People will report you to spam, and that's been the biggest thing. It's not really a platform issue in my experience. Like anything spam related, I would say 95% of the time, it's just like your copy is pretty terrible and people are reporting spam. That's usually the case for us here. So
Fair enough.
basically, I'll give some philosophy as far as how I think about subject lines and copy. Is
Please.
my philosophy on subject lines, especially subject lines, is like you don't want to get too descriptive or try to make it super high converting. Like you just want it to be kind of lukewarm and sound like it came from someone internal, right? Like my philosophy with subject lines is like you can do a lot more damage than you can do good. So you should just keep it really neutral to at least like get them to look at it, right? Like make it sound internal. Where I have some more success is like the first line. I just like to look at, I send an email to myself. I look at it from my phone. I see like, okay, does this look like something that a colleague would send or something like that? Like, does this look like something I would open? So there's that.
Fair enough.
As far as the framework, I keep it very simple for a particular reason. Is like, I know everybody says like shorter emails do better, which is true, but the reason we keep it simple is like we kind of, and I stole this from someone else, like this quote is, but basically we kind of see like a billboard, right? Like you don't want to make it too complicated. You want to over explain things. You just want to make it really simple and easy to understand. Like if they're scrolling on their phone, they should be able to read it. So it's like, we do our best job to like filter down and make the language very industry specific, right? Like in this case, customer idle funds, like that is sort of an industry specific term here. But basically we're just trying to explain things in a simple manner and kind of isolate variables, right? Because like if the offer is terrible, well, it's not because of the copy. Like this is why we have frameworks, right? It's like we're trying to isolate it to where it's like, okay, we know this is the offer that's terrible, and we need to like think of different ways to rephrase the offer. Or, this offer is just very hard for us to work with, and like we can't really do anything with this. So it's like, I don't know if it's like what people want to hear in this case, but it always comes back to the offer. Like Smartlead is not the issue. Like I talked about this with Buyback before, Smartlead is not the issue. Um, you know, Deliverability does go up and down here and there with like Google, whatever, but like that's not really the biggest issue here. Biggest issue is like if you're sending emails or whatever, is this something people actually want, basically? Like if you're selling something nobody wants, people are just going to report you spam. It doesn't really matter what deliverability setup you have. So you need to kind of find a way to angle what you sell to be something that people want. Like maybe you're selling something really generic, like I don't know, SEO or something like that. So you have some really strong case studies, or you have a different way of phrasing it. Like, I'll give you an example for SEO that we're doing is like we have an SEO client and we're basically just kind of narrowing down there. Like, again, we're targeting nonprofits. We're just saying, hey, look, like we can help you pop up for potential grantors or something like that. Just being very specific with language. But chances are it's like if you're selling something generic or it's a bad offer nobody wants, you got to find a better way of phrasing it, like narrowing down more on who you're reaching out to. And you also have to have case studies. But anyways, I'm kind of ranting there, but it's basically just comes down to like, the framework isolates the variables. It isolates the variables so that you can kind of see if it's your offer is doing poorly. Maybe it's the way you're phrasing the offer, and it kind of allows you to go back and make the necessary adjustments, if you will. So that's how we figure out campaigns pretty quickly here. So
fair enough, fair enough. Thank you so
yeah.
much for that, Justin. And one other question, right? So why is it important to customize your email copy to match industry specific technology?
Yeah, I would say, did you say technology?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a lot of success with this type of campaigns. So it's like one of our campaigns, we're going after like, I'm sure if you're like retention.com, like it's a retention.com competitor. So we're going after retention.com users. And in those cases, it's like, what's pretty rip and place. Like if we could find a list of people using competitor technologies, they have a really good understanding already of like what the pain points are, like where their current software has deficiency. So we just come along and say, hey, look, like we can do XYZ. I see you're using retention. We can do XYZ feature better. And we're also cheaper. Do you want to take a call? That does very well for us. So
got it. And other tools would you do this in Apollo, or other tools that can actually tell you who's following your competitor on LinkedIn or all these information?
are you talking about like that specific use case, like companies who follow your competitor?
Absolutely, the competitor,
There's a company out there, I think it's called Golden Leads. They do this service. We don't really do this that often. There's also a sales navigator trick you could do before. So it's like you change your company profile to your competitor's company profile. Like you basically add a fake job, and then you can go in Sales Navigator and see like your company followers. I don't know if that still works, but we tried those campaigns before. And to be frank, a lot of times the lists are much smaller than you think. Like, because a lot of people who follow your competitor pages, they're just like random people. They may not be like CEOs or whatever, or like the kind of people we want to reach out to. But we have done those campaigns before. I just don't really do those because the success was a lot more limited than expected. So
fair enough, fair enough. And again, one other shout out to Smartlead, because our mobile app is going to be out any moment. Could be today, but depends on approval. It's on our side. It's done on our side, but it should be out pretty soon. And is there anything else, Justin? So I think we covered the first step, which is segmentation. The second step as to how you can write prompts and how you can segment your list using ChatGPT. And we've covered the third part as to how you can have your copies specific to industries as well. So would you like to give a quick cover up of pointers for our users who join?
Yeah, I would say as well, just this is something else we're starting to use as well. So I showed you the ChatGPT segmentation. but there's a tool we use as well that makes it really easy. It's Panda Match. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's pandamatch.io. I'll drop in the chat here.
Yes,
I think
please.
it's IO. So this makes it really simple, and frankly, like they get a lot better results than just like plug in the list, right? Like we go and plug this in, and it just we don't have to do as much thinking, basically. Like you could pull in your existing companies, like you pull existing customers, put the URL in, and then it'll run the search for you, basically. So that's another tool we use. I think that might be helpful for users. And then I'm trying to think of anything else. We went over a lot actually in the past 20, 30 minutes. Yeah, I would say just biggest thing, when we're thinking about like, so we talk about segmentation, that's step one, right? Like step one, that
Yes.
helps us build the campaigns. Copy always follows segmentation, right? So it's like once you have the segmentation, the copy kind of writes itself, but there's always little nuances. So it's just like, write the copy, sleep on it, read it in the morning, kind of see like, does this still sound good when I like send this out, right? Like, does this still sound like something that people would be interested in? And then from there, it's like, okay, maybe you need to rewrite it. You run the campaign and don't jump to conclusions, right? I see a lot of people, especially in the community, they kind of jump to conclusions. They're like, oh, I'm not getting results after like 3 days of running this campaign. Like, we generally send about 1,000 emails before we say, okay, like this campaign is not working. Like, if we're not getting a meeting in 500 emails or 1,000 emails, whatever, we're basically saying like, okay, this is not working, but you need to let the campaigns run for a bit to say, okay, this is not working. Then kind of dive into it, right? Like a lot of times when people are responding, if your offer is somewhat relevant to the audience you're sending to, which it should be because you've done the work of segmentation, a lot of times they'll give you feedback as to what your messaging is missing, right? Like most people will say unsub or unsubscribe, but there's always a handful of replies where they're like, oh yeah, like we don't do this, but we do this. Thanks for reaching out. Unsubscribe though. So it's like you can kind of look at that and say, okay, this is how I would narrow this down. If you're an agency, go ahead and maybe talk to your customers. Say, hey, look, like I wrote this messaging. Like, does this sound like something that does the industry lingo sound correct in this? If you work for a company, just go ask your boss, like, hey, look, like, does this match sort of the lingo we would send, if you will? Like the example I was using before, I'll use it again. I think it's a perfect example. It's like one of our customers was targeting nonprofits. They don't say get funding, they say find grants. They say find grantors. Like that's the terminology they use. Literally 3x our meeting rate. So it's like little things like that make a big difference. But yeah, just kind of reiterating points there. It's like that's what we
And
have success with in this case. So
awesome. And one of the things that you said makes sense
yeah,
because, read it for yourself, read it in the morning, see if you would actually read the email, see if you would actually open the email and read through it fully when it comes to the copy. Because
yeah,
that's again the case. Because me personally, I don't think most of us would read through the paragraphs. We would see the email if it's interesting, if it has a hook, we'd read through it and we would respond back properly. So thank you so
yeah,
much for it, Justin.
for sure.
Awesome. So that's pretty much it from our end. So if it's okay, Justin, if you've got nothing to say, we'll open the questions. We'll open the floor for questions. So
Yeah,
anyone who has a question can simply raise your hand. We'll
yeah.
spotlight you and you can ask your question directly.
I see Salam, so let me unmute him real
Just
quick.
give me a minute, folks. Hey, folks, Swapnil here. For anybody who's trying to figure out how to raise their hands, on the bottom right next to the chat icon, you'll see the React section where you'll see an option to raise your hands. When you raise your hands, please switch on your video so that I can spotlight you and then you can ask your questions. Cool?
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, Salam, I think you were first.
How's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good, man. Just early
Okay,
as hell
so
here. So
I own a 3PL fulfillment center,
yes.
and we've been doing cold emails for about a year now. We
Yeah.
still haven't had the proper structure in place. Like
Yeah.
I still don't know like what's like working and what's not working. Kind of just
Sure.
shooting it out there. I've tried the whole really short, hey, do you need fulfillment? And and then I've tried the big, copyrighted stuff. I paid a guy to do a big copyrighted thing. It was huge.
Yeah.
I knew it was wrong right away because like who the hell
Yeah.
reads all that, right? We tried different subject lines, tried to personalize stuff like that. So we're still kind of like finding out what's working and what's not. So
Sure.
in that, what you just said now about segmentation, if I'm just targeting e-commerce businesses that sell online, let's say they use Shopify or something, do
Sure.
I need to segment them by industry or can I just attack as a whole e-commerce businesses?
Well, let's break it down. So do you have the copy on hand that you can send over? Like your most recent copy?
My most recent copy, I used Smartlead to shoot it out. My brother said it's so garbage this morning, but
Sure.
I literally, I'm trying to go like the whole personal route, like trying to like not sound, because as a business owner, I get tons of these emails and I just know right away this guy's sending
Sure.
it to thousands of people. So I'm trying to like balance the whole personalization, but still sounding like specific to them. But still, so basically the message is, hi, first name. Are you guys looking for a fulfillment center in Canada? Question mark. We can have shipments to your customers in under 24 hours. And under there, it's just a very blank, very minimal signature, my name, my company
Sure.
name, and my mobile number under there. That's
Got it.
the most recent.
Okay. I would say a couple criticisms. I would say 2 or 3. So first is like have a clear call to action. So just ask them if they want to learn more, right? Like that'll get more responses in that case. And are you tracking opens and clicks in this case?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are you tracking open rates? Are you tracking click rates? Or is it just plain text?
So what about that? Like, do you think it's better to just do plain text, or should
We
I
just do
have
plain
the whole-
text. We just do plain text. It in our experience, it does better. Others may vary, but for us, is at a larger scale, we've seen it's done a lot better. So
I don't think it's tracking here. I'm kind of new to the whole software here.
okay,
I don't.
just
Yeah.
go and check after.
So it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can have a call regarding that. It is possible. You have an option in your campaign settings where you can disable tracking. You can also enable plain text as well. So probably after the call, I'll drop my email. You can drop an email to me and I'll help you with that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, it says here
Yep.
just total leads contacted 1,199, and then unique opens, it says 2.75%. So
Okay.
33 opened.
Yeah, I would check the inbox setup. So that might be part of your problem. So I would say, copy issues. We'll talk about copy issues, but I would look at the inbox or whatever. Think Akash can help you out there. But biggest thing is, okay, have a clear call to action. If you have case studies, like I'm sure you have specific case studies, right? Use those case studies, use that process I showed you earlier with the ChatGPT, or use Panda Match, and then build a list based off that. And I would say, 24 hours, and this is just a gut feeling for me, right? Because I've run campaigns for like Target e-commerce stores. I would say gut feeling is like 24 hours is a good value proposition in this case, but also like, do you do any cost savings for them? Like, is it cheaper
Yes.
for them to use you? Okay, so highlight that as well. Say, hey, look, like we can do it for you for cheaper. And then in your case study, what I would do is like find an example company, say like, hey, look, like they used to take 72 hours to ship things out. We got it down to 24 hours, and we were also able to save them like, I don't know, $10 million or whatever. Like that's what I would say in that case. So make the case study very relevant, because there's a lot of 3PL providers out there. So the way you stand out is like having a very specific case study, and also making it happen, basically have an awesome result that like they can relate to, if you will. So that's why I would say in that case, just kind of narrow it down.
So is it good to mention all these value propositions in the emails? It doesn't sound spammy. Like if I give them like, hey, we do this, we can do this, we can do this. Doesn't that come across as like all over the place, or like kind of like, you know what I'm saying by that?
I know what you're saying. So I would say trim it down, right? So maybe you could say like, look, like, we're a 3PL service. We can help you cut your shipping times down to 24 hours, and we're cheaper than all major shipping providers in Canada. Like that's a simple sentence. I don't think you would get reported spam just for that. Like people are always going to report you spam or complain, but it's like, that should be fine. We run similar sort of pitches, value prop statements. So that should do pretty well as it is. So if you just kind of trim it down to one sentence, that's pretty good. So
Right.
And subject line and subject
Salim.
line. Sorry. Just very quickly. And
Awesome.
subject
Yeah,
line.
go for it.
What would you do for a subject line off the top of your
I would
head?
just do like, just for you, I'm just thinking about like whatever for you. I just do like fulfillment question first name. That's what I would do.
Fulfillment question first name.
Try that out. Yeah. Just keep it real
Thank
simple.
you. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Salim. So the next one, Anton. Yes, your hand is raised. Come on. Go for it.
What was the subject?
Fulfillment
Yeah.
question mark and then first name.
Anton, go for it. Yes, sir. Your hands are raised.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for this call, Justin. So
For sure.
I have a couple of questions. Like the first question is, how many clay triggers do we need to have per campaign? Like how many clay triggers do you use? Okay, per
A lot of
campaign.
times we don't like, we have clay, but like we don't do a lot of trigger based. I think I mentioned this earlier, but we don't do a ton of trigger based campaigns. Like There have been some use cases for clients where it's like we're running recruitment campaigns or like, they do staff augmentation, they place a very specific role, and we will run sort of like a job-based trigger campaign. But for a lot of our campaigns, it's mostly just down to like good list segmentation and higher volume. Like that's kind of the agency we are. Like there's other agencies out there who really get these like trigger-based campaigns, but to be frank, like that's not really us. Just different sort of segments for us. So
Got it. Another question, what are the tools
Yeah.
do you use for email inboxes? Outlook and Google?
yeah, Google for us is Google only. I know some people like using Outlook, they like mixing it up. For us, we use Google only. So
Okay, and how many emails do you send per day, per account?
per account, we do 20 just to be safe.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Joe, you're up. Go for it.
Jason, I appreciate your time, man.
For sure.
Just a super quick question. What would you
Yeah.
say are like your top maybe like 3 to 5 B2B databases other than like Apollo for getting data?
I would say we always start with Apollo as a base data source, right? Like that's our first point of contact, if you will. I know others have used ListKit. That's a pretty good one as well. I used that briefly. I haven't really dove into it, but I need to like use it more basically, right? Uplead is good. Uplead is good as well. And if you're using Clay, I would say this is where we use multiple data sources. So we tend to start with Apollo as like the main list. Like we pull that list, we'll go upload that into Clay. And within Clay, you can have like 3 or 4 or 5 different data sources. So within Clay, as sort of like the waterfall enrichments, we tend to use like ICPs, Prospeo, Lead Magic, whatever. And then those are 3 that kind of find the missing gaps there. So I would say to answer your question, on a contact level data, for us, our most used data sources is Apollo, followed by the integrated Clay ones like Prospeo, ICPs, Lead Magic. And then if we're talking about segmentation, I know I showed the ChatGPT trick. That's what we like to use. I mean, that's why I like to show people because it's a lot easier to use. But if you have a little extra money, just use something like PandaMatch. I put it in the chat. There's pandamatch.io. It's just a lot simpler and they get a lot more results. Like you can find more companies that are similar to existing customers. So I would use PandaMatch in that case. And that's for a company level. Like you still need to take that list and put it into Apollo. But those lists have done very well for us. Like that example I gave earlier in the chat, it was, 4,000 to like 120,000 contacts. You might see like 4,000 to 200,000 contacts if you're using something like PandaMatch. So
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Louise, you're up. You can unmute yourself. Yep, go for it. Yeah, can you unmute yourself?
There we go.
Yeah,
Can you hear me
can
now?
hear you.
Good.
Mhm.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, how's it going?
Plant Ascension.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Justin. I do just to follow up on Joe's question earlier. Like, why not Ocean.io? By the way.
I don't know. Like I've used Ocean.io. I find it's a little clunky. PandaMatch does a lot better. Like we just get more results. That's the only reason. So
Okay. And previously with Anjan's question earlier, so Google only 20 emails per day. But if you were to onboard a client right now, how many domains and inboxes are you setting up?
yeah, I would say at a minimum 50 domains, 100 inboxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And just to plug myself here, I do inbox setups and management. So that's something we do as well. Just because like setting up that many domains is a pain, but I would say at least 50 domains, 100 inboxes, just to play safe, right? Because let's say we have 100 inboxes, we're sending with 50 and cycling out 50. So it's like 50 are actively sending. We're sending about 20 emails per day off those 50, like each. So that's 1,000 emails per day. And then we have another 50 on backup as warm-ups. So yeah.
got it. And
Mhm.
if you don't mind me asking, within the
Sure.
admin panels, what's your maximum email accounts per admin panels on Google?
I would say 20, 30. Like I haven't seen any difference, to be frank. Like I know people talk about this a lot. I would say 20 to 30 is the max. So
Got it. Last question. After you set up the campaign, just like the earlier example that you did, but how about on cases where after you set up the campaign, it's not getting any results? Can you break down your troubleshooting process? Like, how are you finding out what's wrong? Like, are you checking deliverability, maybe the copy, maybe the list? Yeah. Can you break that down, like your troubleshooting
Yeah.
process?
Troubleshooting process. Okay, so basically just I go into campaign settings, right? Like, are we sending plain text only? Like for us, that makes a big difference. I don't know about others, but for us, it makes a difference. So we check plain text only. Second thing we're checking is like, okay, the copy. I always like to reread it, right? Because sometimes you're writing copy and it's like, it sounds really good to you. And then I've gotten a lot better at this recently because I've been writing so much copy for so long. But in the beginning, when I was kind of newer to this, I would write copy. I spent a lot of time writing copy and I thought it would sound amazing. And then I wake up, I reread it. I'm like, oh, shoot, like we need to change this, and that, right? So it's like reread the copy, make sure that's relevant. I always like to make sure, like, okay, if I'm a person receiving this, like, is it something I would care about, right? Like, nobody cares. Like, I'm just gonna be frank here. There's a lot of offers out there where it's like, oh, I can save you 12 hours or something like that. Like, nobody cares like about saving time offers. Like, you want to tie it to some dollar amount if you can. So any case study you have, like maybe say, hey, look, like we help XYZ company save $10 million, or we help them make $10 million, whatever. Like, tie it to that. Maybe the way you're phrasing the offer, like this kind of goes back to rereading it, like proofreading it, but just kind of like say, okay, does this make sense? If I read this out, like, I don't know, can my mom understand this? Like, she doesn't do cold email. Like, can she understand this? Right. So that's why we say just, and also don't be afraid of tests. Like, I do a lot of tests, like on my campaigns where it's like some are maybe we're testing without a case study, we're testing with a case study. Within SaaS products or agencies, right? There's always like different services, or like within a given service, there's always like different things we help with. So for each email, try to segment that out, right? Like if we're talking about, I don't know, like a SaaS product, I'll have 3 or 4 or 5 features and we'll test the pain point associated with each feature. And then we'll write an email based off that. And that does a lot of, that helps a lot as well. It's like if I have 10 email variants, it's very rare unless the offer sucks. Like a lot of people, and I guess for anybody watching this, a lot of times, like, I mean, Luis, you know this as well. Like a lot of times people's offers are pretty terrible. Like nobody really wants like IT services. Like, let's be honest here, right? Like nobody is buying that off Quora. So if you're selling like IT services or something really generic or seasonal, like recruiting, you just gotta send more volume. Like that's just being frank here. But I would say if you sell one of those type of offers, like don't spend too much time looking at the campaign variants, just send more emails. But at the same time, it's just like reread the emails and just see if you can do better. But if you have 10 variants, there's no way, not at least one is not going to succeed, right? So yeah, that was kind of long-winded,
Awesome.
but that's how I run things. So
Perfect.
And
Luis, I think, if you're done, we'll go for the next person. Yeah. Do you have any more questions?
oh yeah, so plain text only, recheck the copy. How do I make sure it's sending?
I just buy more inboxes. Like I just track it over some time. So it's like generally, if I would say generally if it's below like 2-3% reply rates, and this is including out of offices, if it's below that number, either your offer sucks or you're going to spam. And then I would say if I've been running a campaign for let's say 2-3 months, whatever, and I see reply rates are dipping, I just kind of assume it's going to spam. Like it's not very scientific on my end, but that's why we have the backup inboxes so we can swap them out and not have any downtime. So yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
Awesome. Next person, Alex. I'm spotlighting you. Yeah. Go for it. No, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. There was a lot of good questions. I think one that I wanted to specify, you were mentioning about copy structure, and
Yes.
could you return once more again, like what specific like parts of structure you have? As far as I understood, there was
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll just break it down. So first sentence is usually like observation, like, hey, I came across XYZ company when I was looking for fintech companies or whatever. Like doesn't really matter too much. Just don't make it too long-winded, if you will. Second sentence, usually, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 sentences, or it's like 1 or 2 sentences in place. So it could be a 5-sentence email, but I'll just keep it simple as like a 4-sentence structure.
Sure.
Second sentence is usually like a pitch. So it's like, hey, look, like we help XYZ companies do this or use AI to do this. Just kind of like tell them what you do, what pain you solve, how you solve it. Just give some sort of mechanism to explain how you solve it. And then third sentence, this is like your basic structure. You can always play around with this, but the third sentence is a case study that is relevant to them. So that's why we do all the keyword segmentation. So you might say like, hey, look, like we help this company do XYZ. They save $10 million. We help them make a bunch of money. And you do the case study. Generally, call to action, we like to use like open to learning more. If you have some sort of free collateral, you can send them. Like, I would say they don't really care about videos about your product, but if you have something like, hey, look, like I'll help you design, like, let's say you're selling a web design offer. I'll help you design like a framework for your website or something like that. Like that would probably do well. And you could probably get more results doing that versus just saying open to learn more.
So you're saying that first call to action and then free gift that we're planning to give them, not vice versa?
A/B test it, right? Sometimes you could just do
Mhm.
open to learning more as a call to action. But sometimes if
Mhm.
you have the capacity for this, do something like a free giveaway. Just say like, hey, look, like, can I share, open to learning more? We can help you. We can design 3 web design frameworks for you, something like that, like give some free value to them. So if you have the capacity to do that, I would always recommend just taking some time to do that. So
Okay, as a follow-up, like we have right now, we have a gift, a bigger gift than a usual one for the one who do like more specific action, specifically like demo request with us. Do you
Yeah.
feel like it's better to give a bigger a bigger gift for those who make like something more significant, like demo request with us, like book a demo, or to give something smaller, but for everyone who replies? What would be like emotionally bigger for you?
What kind of gift? Is it like a gift card or something?
AirPods. We're
AirPods?
giving AirPods for those
Okay.
who connect with us and make a demo request with our.
I'll be connecting with you in 13 minutes, Alex. I'll do the connection. Give me that first. Yep, sorry, go for it.
Okay. What I was gonna say is like basically I would say just segment the list, right? Like I'm sure you have accounts where you're prioritizing them. Like you want to go after these type of companies. So if you're giving something away that's nice, like AirPods, like what, $200 or whatever,
Mhm.
just only send that offer to companies that you really want to work with. Like maybe it's SaaS companies over 500 employees. Like only send it to those people. If you're sending gifts to smaller segments that you don't really want to prioritize, just start another campaign. Maybe do under 500 employees or whatever. I'm just using an example here, right? Like under 500 employees,
Mhm.
give like a $20 gift card instead. Like that's what I would recommend in this case. So
For everyone who would reply from a smaller company.
yeah, just basically make 2 campaigns, if you will. So
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you. Another follow-up question.
Yep.
Another follow-up question about the.
Yeah. Is this the
for
last
the
question,
test.
Alex?
Yeah. You were just mentioning about the testing, and you were saying something like
Yeah.
about 1,000 emails to understand that the copy or the email
Yeah.
itself working. Is it the proper number, or for the smaller creative stuff, it's a smaller number? How you feel?
Depends on your offer. Like I would say most of the clients we work with now, like we're a lot more picky as far as like who we work with. But I
Mhm.
would say for offers where it's like really generic, like SEO, IT services, whatever, the number could be higher. For a lot of our clients, we're shooting for, and this is internal stats, right? Like a lot of our clients we work with, they sell sales and marketing tech, they sell fintech, HR tech, whatever. We are shooting for 1 meeting for every 100 to 200 emails. That's sort of our benchmark internally. But I would say for someone starting out, generally look for at least like a positive reply or 2 for 1,000 emails. Like that's what I would say is like a benchmark to at least look for when you're new to this. But as you get better, you can kind of see like, okay, this is the baseline stat we're looking for. If you run an agency, you can kind of see like, okay, this type of offer, like target these personas should be able to do like 1 in 200, 1 in 300. But I would say in the beginning, just 1 in 1,000, that's a good benchmark, at least like when you're starting out learning things. So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
So these will be the next last 4 questions. So Michael, you're next. Go for it.
Hi there. Sorry, I was just trying to unmute. Hi, Justin.
Hey,
Yeah,
Michael.
a couple of things. Spin
Yep.
text. I noticed you're not spin texting your message. I mean, you were spin texting the quotes that you had at the bottom. Is there a reason behind that? I mean, do you find that spin text isn't necessarily that important?
People have varied opinions on this in the agency world.
Okay.
Like people with quote emails have varied opinions. I just put the quotes. I think that does well enough for us. Just being frank, like we do personalization, we do company name. In the subject line, we try to put the first name as well. So I think that plus the quotes does well enough for us. Although I know some people go crazy on the spin text. So really up to you. For us, it's just like just kind of pain to set everything up. And we just haven't seen the kind of drop off that we haven't seen a huge drop off from not doing a crazy ton of spin text. So
Okay. And the other thing is avoiding spam words. Do you avoid them completely? I mean, we've got some clients that are, let's say, in financial services or whatever, and sometimes it's just almost impossible to make something readable with
We try to avoid it, but at the same time, it's like you can't always avoid it, right? So it's like
Yeah.
instead of saying dollars, I might just instead of putting a dollar sign, I might put like I might write out dollars. Maybe instead of like $5,000 for dollar sign, I might just write 5,000 and then dollars. I don't know if that helps,
Yeah.
but that's just what we try to do. I try not to make it sound too spammy, but we have the same problem as well with financial services. And I would just say like as long as the offer is compelling, like you should be fine. So
Okay, fine. One last thing.
yeah.
You don't have unsubscribe links either because you're sending in plain text. Do
Yeah.
you think this affects deliverability at all? I mean, just because
Yeah.
Google supposedly require it.
We just say I don't know like how compliant this is still working for us, but what we say is just like reply unsub to learn more, or sorry, not learn more. Reply unsub if you want us to remove you from the list, increase our reply rates, and makes deliverability better. I don't know. I think the link negatively affects deliverability, so we just try not to include it. But time will see if that's the right approach. Like it's been working for us for about 2 years, but we'll see if that needs to change. But I would say generally, like if for anybody else listening, because you seem to know what you're doing, but I would say anybody else listening to this is like definitely have some sort of opt-out mechanism. Like you need an opt-out mechanism. Otherwise, people are just going to straight report you to spam. Like they're going to hit report spam and your inboxes are nuked. So yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Daryl, you're up next.
Hey guys, thank you for the time. So quick one from me. I'm trying to distinguish between where to draw the line between segmentation and personalization. So segmentation can filter by company and by employees and by country and all those things. And then, the personalization, I'm finding it difficult to marry the two up. Any thoughts?
When you say personalization, are you talking about like, hey, I saw you went to Harvard or whatever, like that type of personalization?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't really even do that. Like I just do straight segmentation. Like some of our campaigns, and I'll be talking about Clay, whatever. Like some of our campaigns, I just go into ChatGPT or Panda Match, whatever. I pull those relevant lists and then I just write the campaign based off that. So it's just pure relevance for us. Like I'll just some philosophy, like kind of thought process for like how we run campaigns. It's just relevance at scale. Like that's it. Maybe we could get better results if we spend the time to like personalize. But I would say in general, like our experience, it hasn't made a huge difference. Like people might respond more positively. They might say, oh, great email, but not relevant to us. But in general, it's like it hasn't made a huge difference just from our personal testing. So
yeah, good to know. So pull the list and then add some context with maybe Clay a little bit and then just leave it at that.
You don't even need Clay. Like you use Panda Match, like do you have an example of a customer like that you want to get, similar customers to? Like, do you have any lookalikes that you would want to get for a particular customer?
Yeah. Wellness fitness in the UK, for example.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe you just go to Panda Match and then you put wellnessfitness.co.uk, whatever, into Panda Match, gets you a bunch of UK gyms, and then you can just reach out to them and say, hey, look, I work with wellness fitness. We got in this results. We do this specifically for gyms or, local gyms, whatever. And that's a very relevant email right there. They're like, okay, wow, he did the research. He works with someone that's in the UK that's also a gym. Like that's going to do better than any sort of like cheesy personalization there. So you don't even need to use Clay in that case. It's just relevant off the bat. You could just write the email based off the fact that the list you're sending to is similar to an existing customer. You know how your existing customer works. Like you know what you do for your existing customer. And you can just kind of understand what the pain points that you're solving are in this case, right? It's like very specific in this case. So that's why I would do your choose. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. So Robert, you're up next. Go for it.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Robert, how's it going?
Good. I don't know if y'all have seen Justin's lead magnet content on LinkedIn, but he absolutely kills it. My question is kind of around, aside from the obvious, we booked a ton of meetings, this is how we did it. What do you sort of look for in your outbound campaigns or maybe internal processes that to sort of turn that around into content to find more clients?
Okay, so you're basically asking about like, sorry, could you rephrase a bit? Sorry, it's just like trying to understand better.
Yeah, so like, what do you look for in terms of success or data points in your outbound that then you like to turn around into content to help find more clients?
Okay, so you're saying like for my internal campaigns, like what works, like what I share with clients, like I'm just trying to understand like what the question is here, like if you will.
Yeah, like what success points aside from like meetings booked on an outbound campaign for a client, what
Mhm.
sort of things are you looking for that jump
Yeah.
out to you when you're
Okay.
outbound for clients that
The only metric we track is number of meetings booked to email sent. That's the only metric that matters. Like nothing else matters. Open rates don't matter. Click rates don't matter. I would even say on a more extreme case, reply rates don't even matter. Like I have one client where it's like we have a somewhat low reply rate because we're targeting like banks, credit unions, whatever, like C-level at credit unions and banks. But pretty much everyone who responds is booking a meeting with us. So it doesn't really matter. Nothing else really matters. So I would say just that's the only metric we're looking for is meetings booked to email sent. That's the biggest thing. So. And I would say, sorry, one more thing. Second thing on top of that is like, okay, you can have a really small list that's super targeted and you can book a ton of meetings off that, but that doesn't really scale out. So it's like, and this is not really like a KPI or anything, but it's just like, okay, if I have a campaign, like maybe there's 200 people on there, I booked like 20 meetings or whatever. Like that's a great campaign, right? It's an amazing campaign. How do I get more of this result? Let me think of lookalike campaigns. So I'll give you that example again of like the banks where we're targeting the banks for my client. We're targeting banks, credit unions. Well, at first we were targeting banks, right? And then we're saying like, okay, we had success here, but the campaign list was pretty small. It's a very particular title we're going after. Let's see if we can go after like fintechs, like neobanks, see if we can go after credit unions, that kind of stuff. And then we're going from there and testing these segments, trying to expand the list, if you will. So that's another thing we look for, but there's not really like a KPI we get assigned to that. It's just like a thought process I have after we have success with a campaign. But biggest thing is just number of emails booked, or sorry, number of meetings booked to email sent. That's the biggest thing to look for. So nothing
And
else
are
matters.
you always kind of going industry adjacent like that, or are you ever applying that to other industries?
I would say some clients, like they're very niche down. Like we have a client that does like targets like gaming studios, right? So in that case, it's like there's not that much segmentation you do. So it's like we just blast those. There's also some clients where it's like they sell maybe like we have ones like fintech. It's not even fintech, it's like financial offers, right? They're selling like, business financing or whatever. Like pretty much any business can benefit from that. So what we've done in that case is actually kind of reverse. Like we just have a big list of people and maybe we're scraping on Google Maps and we'll see like, okay, is this like a black owned business? Is it a woman owned business? And then even though the loan specifically is not like tailored to that given demographic, we just say, hey, look, like we work with, black woman owned businesses in San Francisco to get loans or whatever. Like that's kind of like a bit different. It's like kind of working backwards from what I was talking about before, but we do things like that as well. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Ben, you're up next.
Hey guys, thank you so
Hey, Ben.
much, Akash, for the moment, and for just letting us being part of this, type of experiences, and Justin for your time and knowledge. I always harass him with questions, so thank you so much, Justin. Okay, my client, he's a financial company. He provides loans for businesses, and they buy database of clients that were just rejected, by the bank, and they need money now. So it's not that I'm like I need to like warm up these cold leads and stuff. I mean, I'm also doing that, but it really, really doesn't work. So I have two questions regarding the leads. The first one is, how would you clean these leads that we buy? Because some of them are personal emails. They don't use like business email.
Sure. That's fine. I mean, just run it through like Neverbounce or something like that, and you should be fine. Like one of our campaigns we're sending to like cannabis stores, right? We offer payment processing for cannabis stores. So a lot of them are like at Gmail or their personal Gmails, and we still send to them. So it's like if the offer is relevant, I know it's stricter with Gmails, and I would say our inboxes do burn out faster in those cases. But I would just say clean out the list of Neverbounce as said anyways. I mean, there's not much choice there, right? So just blast it out if you will. So
but there's no problem if it's a personal like at Gmail. It's not
ideal, but like if your list is full of those type of emails, like you may as well just send it and then buy more inboxes to swap out.
Perfect. Do you have any insights regarding the call to action? Because it's not that they want like a like a video explaining or a guide.
I would say just say open to learning more. That's what I say. Just try asking open to learning more, and then what else could you do? may I send more information? I would just say open to learn more if I was in your shoes. Like that's the call to action I would use. So.
And then the last question is, you said that you were helping these financial companies, targeting banks and stuff. Do you have any insights, like not so intuitive insights?
Just send more volume and do testing. I mean, it's the same with any other campaigns. Like generally it's like, if someone's looking for a loan or whatever, like I think last time we spoke, you offer loans, right? So it's like, you just have to send more emails, and just find someone who's looking for a loan, who needs a loan. So you just need to send more emails. Like it's no crazy, with these type of offers, no crazy insight. It's purely a volume play. So.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben. Have a good day.
Yep.
Marco, you're up next.
Marco, can you switch
on? Turn on your video. Yeah.
You there?
Yeah.
Just two quick questions. Signature, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so even if it has links inside, or
no links, just put the company name. Just don't put links there. So
okay, so it has to be as simple as possible, like no any GIFs or links or anything.
No, absolutely not. I would say if you must have a link, what we had success is like maybe I'll put like codeemailhackers.com in between the dot and the com, we'll put a space.
Yeah,
so
I know. So it doesn't link, right?
Yes. Try that.
Okay.
But no links, no actual links, no images, no GIFs, nothing like that. Like absolutely not even bold text, just plain text only. So
okay. And another question. So you said like your success rate is quite high on 200 emails sent, like one. Well, that's based on price point, I guess. So we do have like a very long sales cycle, very long marketing cycle. I mean, the average value is like 20 grand. So you cannot expect like to book every 200 emails. So what would be, is there a mechanism to calculate what would the KPI be? What would be the benchmark, let's say?
There's no mechanism, but it's also not really about price point, right? Like it's about whether or not people actually want what you sell. Like just being frank here, right? Like a lot of times I'm selling sales and marketing related offers, or it's like finance related offers, right? So it's like in this case, let's just say like sales and marketing. It's like we're saying, hey, look, I can make you more money. Like who doesn't want to book a meeting for that, right? So it's like that's what we should be looking at. So what do you sell exactly? Like what's your specific offer?
Well, this is a data archiving software, and it's usually we work with kind of government and school.
Yeah. I would say just ballpark, like I can't really say because I haven't done anything too similar to that. Have you had success with outbound? Like, have you had success with cold calling and stuff like that in the past?
Yes, we did, but it's very, very slow. So I get like maybe 6,000 emails, one book, let's say.
Okay. How's your signature looking? Are you adding images, links, GIFs, all that sort of stuff?
I stripped everything that I can. There were images, there were links, there were kind of bullet points and bold stuff and spam words. I cleaned that up.
Yeah.
But we still have that signature, which is kind of very kind of fancy and big and has like a GIF. So you think like to strip everything? I mean, I stripped almost everything.
Are you tracking opens? Are you tracking?
No.
You're not tracking opens?
No.
Okay. Add me on LinkedIn, shoot me your copy after, I'll give you my thoughts, and then we'll go from there. So just my LinkedIn should be attached to this, so just add me on LinkedIn. But it's Justin, Copywriting Hackers. Message it to me, and then I'll get back to you and just give me my thoughts on that. So
all right. You're the best. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Awesome. Anirudh's up next. Go for it, Anirudh.
Hey, Akash. Hey, Justin. I'll keep it quick.
Hey.
So my question is a bit adjacent to what you spoke about earlier. It's more on the side of inbox management, especially if you're a mass cold emailer. You'll see that a lot of interested replies get dropped off. So my question is, do you go omni-channel? Do you do, probably warm call them? Do you hit up, you hit them up with LinkedIn, or do you just add them onto a subsequence, and do you just keep it to, emails?
Just subsequence. And when you say drop off, like what do you mean by drop off? Because we don't really have drop off, but I'll explain how our practice works. But like, what do you mean by drop off in this case?
So when I say a drop off, somebody is going to say, hey, I'm interested to learn more. and you send over the sales data set or the lead magnet that you've prepared, and they never get back. That's one scenario. Or probably they ask for a meeting, it's a meeting request, you send over the timing, you send over the invite, they don't get back.
Okay.
So,
how quickly are you responding? Because that's a big part of this. Like, you have to be responding sub 5 minutes.
Ideally, I'd say 10 minutes at tops, not more than 10.
It's hard to say, right?
And also, by the way, we're not targeting companies that are online. I mean, we are targeting architects in some cases. We are targeting accountants. So these people, they're not as online as you'd expect them to be, right?
Okay. What sort of, so you're saying sales assets is basically what you're saying? You're sending like documents, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. What was
You're sending like videos, documents, like when you say like,
so it can be a simple Gamma doc, right? It can be a case study Gamma doc that we've prepared of a lookalike company, and we send it over, and at the end of the Gamma doc you probably have a calendar link, something like that. So that's what I mean by an asset.
Okay. Big thing for us, we don't like to just send the counter link. We've seen a big drop off in conversions. Smartlead has a feature where it's like you can suggest dates and times, automatically, basically. So just suggest a day and time. Like, don't just send the counting link. They're probably not going to book off that. And just, maybe say, hey, look, like, here's a quick overview of what we did for XYZ customer. Are you free Monday or Tuesday? Like, Smartlead will auto-populate this as well. Like, it's in their guide as well. So, are you free Monday or Tuesday? Happy to share how we can do the same for you or something like that. Just keep it really simple, but don't just send the counting link. Like, there's a big drop off in conversions there. So
got it. And what if they don't reply back to that? Do you put them in a subsequence? Do you manually reach out?
Well, you're sending the same thing to like everyone, right? So everybody's like, you're basically just sending that document to everybody who responds positively, right? Just create a subsequence. So Smartlead has custom categories. So create a custom category like document request or something like that. And then just if they respond at all asking for a document, just keep spamming them. Like, just keep for most of our subsequence, if they ask for meeting or information, we usually have like 10 steps in there. Like, just keep bugging the shit out of them and then get them to get on a meeting at some point.
Any reason why you don't go omni-channel?
It's just a company stage thing. Like, we're good at emails. We are thinking about more cold calling, that kind of stuff, but it's just like not really something we're thinking about. We want to expand our customer base further and then offer the service to existing customers from there. But really, it's just about making sure email's running well. Like, everybody's freaking out about like inboxes, like Outlook, whatever. So it's like we're trying to stay ahead of things like that. Smartlead is awesome. So it's like that should make the transition a bit easier. We're thinking about doing this by end of year. We're trying to add cold calling, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. So
no, it makes sense. Cool. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Thanks, Anirudh. John, make it quick, man. Unmute yourself.
Justin, so this is my last question. As you mentioned, you send 20 emails per day per account, and you have 50 email accounts. So that's your benchmark. Basically, you send 1,000 emails per day per client. So that means you are sending 20,000 emails per month per particular client.
Yep. That's it. So pretty simple.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Victoria, you're up next. Unmute yourself and go for it.
Hi, thanks, Justin.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, my question was good. So my question was, you're talking a lot about case studies, and I guess when you're working with some earlier companies who might not have a lot of case studies built out, how do you handle that? You don't
just
really
use whatever you have on hand. Like, you probably have, at least for people I work with, I try not to work with people who don't have any case studies. Like, you have some customers that work with you, like, just work with what you have on hand. Like, even if it's not the most amazing case study, like, it's a case study, so just put that in there. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Keep it
Thanks.
pretty simple.
Last question for the day. Last click, could you probably turn on your video? We can spotlight you only then. Go for it. Unmute yourself. Yeah, all good.
Should say Alex. That's in there from long ago. Appreciate, Justin, you hopping on. Curious about her opinion. A lot of the things that I hear from folks and background is I do send cold email for my own agency. We don't do on behalf of clients as of now, but we have a lot of clients that are interested looking at it. No secret that gets expensive when you're going with like a Microsoft or a Google, $6 a mailbox, or if they do monthly $720, you try to scale that up. So, I've noticed like more and more it's becoming popular to, for folks to be like, oh, get your own server. What is your stance on that? Like, a lot of services popping up. You have like, I know Salesforce just rolled out InfraForge. That's like a hybrid, and then you've some that are just servers. So where do you like land with that?
This is my thought process here, right? It's like I personally have not had a lot of success with those servers. I know there's some out there. I haven't tried out Superwave. I know people say it's good. I haven't had success there. But biggest thing is just compare the cost to like ads. Like if you run ads, it's gonna be way more expensive than just buying 100 inboxes. Like just spend the money basically. That's how I run things. So yeah.
I like that. That's actually I like that analogy for him because
it's just like cold email is so efficient and cheap as it is to just spend a little more money. It's not worth, constant disconnects. It's not worth like, your email inbox is going down or poor deliverability. Just spend a little extra money.
We have their campaigns, and believe me, I've seen some of the campaigns we've come into. They're blowing a lot more than that. So I like that analogy. Cool.
It's like,
thanks.
If you have Google inboxes, you spend a little more. And I have infrastructure offer as well if anybody wants to message me on LinkedIn. But it's just if you have Google inboxes, whatever, it's like maybe I don't know how much the other services cost. Let's say it's like $1 per inbox, $2 per inbox, whatever. You save $500 a month. Like that's not that much money in the grand scheme of things. So yeah.
Good to know. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Cool,
Justin, I think these are pretty much the questions for the day. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much, all of you, for taking the time. The video is going to be posted on YouTube and the community. And again, one again, shout out, we've added Justin's LinkedIn. And I believe Justin mentioned it's not just the agency model, they also help you set up mailboxes. So reach out to them. And this is Smartlead's birthday month. So for exciting offers, visit Smartlead's website. And the mobile application is going to come out sometime this week. So stay tuned. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Excellent.